You may agree with this. It happened less than halfway through the show, and that's like a very like final character development type thing, generally speaking. Maybe if it happened in like season 6 or 7. That's one of the reasons why I want to hear what you think about that.
Well, I see it as she did get Alicorn early in the series, but then we see her continue to grow with her new powers too.
Yeah, and that's all great, but I feel like those sort of like leadership growth lessons should have been something that happened to her before she was put in a position. Like imagine
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. This time I'm gonna put a timer just so we don't repeat the last thing. It's gonna be
like 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay, so let's just try to be like succinct, I guess.
Yeah, let's pretend that we just generated a republic right here, and we had a long-running president, and then we picked someone to be the president, and then gave them little formal training, and had the prior president just tell them everything they need to do until they learn.
How well has that worked out for the U.S.?
No, so that's why I don't like Alicorn Twilight.
Well, no, I mean like the people who are usually in that area are stuck in that area for a long time. In Twilight, she was kind of grown. Hell, crap! I just busted my own statement there.
And what I'll continue to tag on to why I don't like it is just personal preference. I mean, I think design-wise, she looks a lot better as a unicorn, and I think that a lot of people agree with that, and that's why there's a lot of hate for it. Also, it would like, I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, who cares if it's geared towards toys as long as it's still enjoyable. But I think that was one of the most blatant and like abhorrent sort of cash grabs of being like, we need another princess doll. And yeah, the show's still pretty early on, and we're gonna make 5 more seasons, but we need the princess doll now. So here you go. That there are like so many reasons I think why Unicorn Twilight is superior.
Okay, quick comments. Just try to make your comments quick.
The thing is, they hit the magic number of 65 episodes. They didn't know they were getting renewed. They were specifically made Magical Mystery Cure to be a possible series finale.
True.
Fair point.
I was actually just going to say that, so that's
true.
That's a pretty good point. I also wouldn't have cared if she never became an Alicorn. I'll add on that.
Similar point, kind of like how the ending of Seniors was rushed because they had to rush it because they were like, okay, that's in the series.
Yeah,
they
like
kind of.
just because it had to be rushed, it doesn't mean that I can be happy that it was.
Cool, neat. I don't really like Alicorn Twilight, but I understand why it exists, and I'm gonna fight for it for no reason. Little girls looked at this show and saw Twilight, and they kind of related with Twilight because she's the main character, she's the character you see most of the perspective through. And so for that, it almost, what they thought was gonna be the end, for her becoming a princess, it makes sense. At the end of the story, little girls wanna become princesses. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
I think in Gen 5 we should have seen Queen Twilight or Queen Twilight.
So we all debated out on that one. Any final comments before make your points known? Whoever wants to go first. Bring hands.
So, I'm in politics, and I just want to go against one of his points. Yeah, no, you absolutely do have people who help you through. It's not necessarily when you're president, but when you're first starting out, which she is, you have other people who are in politics, who are higher up, who walk you through everything. You have allies. So I do believe that that is not exactly the best point to be making because she is still very young and she is not in her full body form yet.
No, I agree. I was just spitballing at Alicorn Twilight.
Okay.
Which is fine. I just wanted to
don't
go
think
against
Twilight
that
is a good political leader in general.
Okay. 30 seconds left. Do you wanna whoever had their hand up, one last comment?
Yeah, I just had a minor point regarding Twilight's relationship with Celestia, and I agree that Twilight becoming an Alicorn was ultimately good for character development in the long run. If they knew they were doing 9 seasons, they probably should have pushed it back. But the fact that Twilight is basically like forced to become an Alicorn and forced to have all these new responsibilities like by Celestia, without really consulting her beforehand, doesn't really ring true to me. That kind of goes against their established relationship. And I know Celestia like sort of, you know, wanted Twilight to grow by moving to Ponyville, but there's like kind of a big difference between, hey, you should learn how to go make new friends and develop yourself socially versus like, okay, now we're gonna force you to inherit a kingdom one day and I'm not even gonna like tell you that this is happening. It should have been a more drawn out process and like something that was hyped up and foreshadowed over time, not just.
The only foreshadowing I'm aware of, there's like one comment in the season opener where they're like, she's ready for the test or something, that's it.
Yeah, not consulting her ahead of time, not giving her any agency, just like really rubbed me the wrong way. So I agree with that ultimately, they could have done it better in a way that suited Celestia and Twilight's characterization.
Okay, I know I said the last one. You can be the real last one. You seem like you're ready to.
I am very opinionated on this show.
Awesome.
That's great for this panel.
I respectfully disagree with some of what you said regarding Celestia. I don't think Celestia really made her into an Alicorn, because if she made her into an Alicorn, her horn probably would have glowed in that scene where she, like, Twilight ascends to Alicornhood it more. Like, I know people have said this online, I don't remember who originally said it, but it looked like Celestia was just like more spectating her as like the thing came out of her chest and then she got her wings. I think Celestia knew she was on the right path rather than like making her the Alicorn herself. I don't know how else better to say my point, but that's her. Yeah, she knew it was gonna happen, but it doesn't mean she did it. Like, you know it's gonna rain, you're not causing the rain. You can warn people about it. Can't stop it.
All right, final. Time to make final judgment as King Nostalgia Critic. I think there are definitely valid points on both ends. I personally am leaning towards, like, as this show, I do think they did good things with her being an Alicorn, more so than it hindered the show. Like, in the hypothetical reality where she never becomes an Alicorn, I feel like they wouldn't have done much with her as a character. She would have just kind of been a book person. So I think, in my honest, from the points, I do think overall, I do definitely think it was contrived, it was rushed, but I don't think, and that should have been done later, but I do believe overall, I personally, from the points I said, I do think overall I kind of like Alicorn a bit more than her just staying a unicorn forever. There are definitely weird implications of it. I'm not going to get into that, but like her being immortal and all her friends dying. Let's just ignore that. I don't want to extend this round any longer.
Just make it tougher as a character.
Yeah. Okay. It's that one. Was My Little Pony better before or after Lord Faust left?
I'm not that well deep into the lore to really.
Quick question, how do you define Lauren Faust left?
She left after at the end of season 2.
End of season 2.
Yes. Anybody? I'm afraid there might just be everybody's going to be saying season 2 is better than the rest, but I just want to be, anybody is pro post season 2 and thinks it was better after Lauren Faust left. Is it? You are? Is any? And I'm assuming what's the consensus that it was better before she left? Who raise a hand? Who thinks it was better before she left? Okay. Who wants to debate? Is anybody ready to debate on this subject? You? Wait, which one are you? What side are you on?
I am. It was better after.
Better after? What side are you on?
Go definitely before.
Okay, perfect.
Here I am. Yeah, I'm the master.
So do you want to go ahead and go first?
Sure. I do think was peak. I'm gonna say that. And I do think season 7 to season 9 was not peak. But I think from like season 3 to maybe season 6 was the peak. Because I think all of Lauren Faust's work was good. I love Lauren Faust's work. However, if we had Lauren Faust, we would not have got the Tyrek fight. Like with Lauren Faust, we would not have got the Tyrek fight.
She definitely had a different vision from the other showrunner.
She had a very different vision, and I'm sure that one was very good. However, the Tyrek fight, can we just sit on the Tyrek fight for a minute, guys? Like, she was supposed to punch Tyrek in the face, but they had to cut it. That would have been beautiful. I love Dragon Ball Z. That would have been absolutely perfect. And let's not forget King Sombra. We got King Sombra without her. We got who else did we get? Starlight Glimmer. I know people have their opinions on Reformed Starlight Glimmer, but villain Starlight Glimmer. We got Slice of Life. Daybreaker. We got all of them. But I do think Camelot Wedding was one of the best top 3 episodes, both of them. However, I think Tyrek easily defeats that with ease. And that's it.
So yeah, you bring up some excellent points there. We get some cool epic things and characters after season 2. But the reason why I think it was better before then is because those are not the things I like about MLP. For starters, right? So I also am a big fan of Dragon Ball, and if I want to see someone get punched in the face, I'll go ahead and watch Dragon Ball. MLP is my comfort show because, generally speaking, you always know that things are going to end all right, and that you don't have to see anything abhorrent. Well, after season 2, you see a few things that are kind of abhorrent. So
to interject, I do kind of agree. I do agree with that specific point. I do kind of like the wholesomeness season 1 to 2. As it goes on, it gets more and more like the world gets more less like more messed up and like there's weird things like just off the top of my head there's like they like just introduce like weird pony diseases and stuff and it makes the world.
Season 7 and season 9 aren't canon, guys.
It makes the world not seem like the one you would escape to, but it more so seems like one where they're trying to make it appeal to adults more so than children.
So I get that like a big part of the adult fandom is people that enjoy like the epic aspects or the world building aspects. But those are actually my least favorite aspects of the show, and I think there are a big chunk of people that would agree with me on that. It's really great as a comfort show. I also think that like the jokes and like writing in seasons 1 and 2 are just like more funny and better. Can I just say that? Like I think they're just, maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm super nostalgic. I will take like 2 points out of my 10 points for that, but it's still B. And yeah.
Can I talk off that real quick?
Yeah.
Real quick. I'm just gonna say I was like 5 years old. On the playground with my friends, we would pretend to be ponies like all the time. I'm just gonna say that. It was wholesome. But then when season 4 came around, oh my god, it like elevated. That is so good. You had to be there on the playground. Like, you had to be there. The amount of like the role plays we had, dude. I'm gonna say okay. There's a lot of wholesomeness in the later seasons.
Sorry, 1 minute warning because we need to set a timer.
I'll finish up. It was really wholesome. Season 1 and 2. It's still very wholesome. You know it's gonna end good. They're ponies, but you get that Tyrek fight, man. Come on.
Right. Yeah. I sort of get like a trauma response when I see like Twilight's house get like blown up.
Yeah, very.
And that's where I'll end my argument. Thanks.
Anybody? We have 30 seconds. Anybody have like 1 comment they want to add?
I just want to say really quick that season 5 is my favorite season and why I would agree that it's better post-Faust, and primarily because you have seasons 1 and 2 which have like good lessons, but very basic lessons for kids, like don't lie, like don't judge other people, don't print lies in the newspaper. And then season 5, you have real deep life lessons that some adults never learned their whole life. Like, maybe you don't need to torture yourself for the mistakes you made in the past. Maybe you shouldn't, I lose my train of thought. Carol Critique is my favorite episode, and the theme of that episode is be careful what you wish for, and that just like hits me really hard. Or you can do small things to make a difference, like these universal life lessons that like anyone can take away. So that's why I like at least the later seasons, season 5 specifically.
Okay.
Great,
I will
great.
say,
Yeah.
there are pros and, what, you
Yeah, I
want
was
to
just
say
gonna
one
say,
final
and
comment?
that's all great stuff. I just, after like a full day of like corporate greed in adult life, I don't wanna think about that. I don't wanna think about like communist regime, I don't wanna think about whatever. And that's all.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, there are definitely pros and cons to pre-Faust era. I will say, the later episodes try to be more mature, but I feel the writing is weaker. The early episodes I feel have better writing, are very like, especially season 1, very like, it's kind of aiming lower, but when they realize the bronies are watching, they kind of like, I will say overall, I feel like given the positions each groups have explained, I still think, I personally am going to say, from my perspective, season 1 through 2, the pre-Faust is still slightly better. But everybody's entitled to their opinion.
It's all about friendship. Okay.
We're all about friendship and magic. Equestria Girls, as a whole, not just like the first movie, the whole franchise. Yay or nay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
Who's saying yay? And wants to debate? You? Who's saying nay and wants to debate? Any nayers in the chat?
I keep on being the neighbor.
I'll be a nair.
If you want to, I'd rather do it in person, I guess.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. What if I name but I don't debate?
Variety is the spice of life. Okay, I'm gonna set the timer, 4 minutes, and let's go. Am I working?
Okay, so I'm arguing that Equestria Girls wasn't good, right? Okay, my biggest gripe is that, I don't know about any of y'all, but to me, like 95% of the songs are mid. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some real bangers. I unironically love Awesome As I Wanna Be, because Rainbow Dash's best pony, don't at me. But
Just Twitter handle, I will at you.
in any case, like listening to Equestria Girls songs always makes me cringe. Just like again, like there are some good ones like what's it called? It was there's like 2 songs that I like. All the rest are mid, and also just cringe. That's my starting.
Interjection, there are good songs, but I do agree in the first one, especially there are cringe songs. Especially even a Cafeteria song, which I think is good, is kind of cringe.
Thank you!
I personally liked them because the additional world building, plus we got like the best pony, Starlight Shimmer.
Sunset Shimmer.
Sunset Shimmer, yeah. sorry.
Sunny Buns.
Not right now, but then we got some fun world building on the other side of the portal. More content too that we can go back and watch, and then someone will really like it, and then get into the original show too. So it's just another avenue for drawing people in.
I will agree that Sunset Shimmer is. I love Sunset Shimmer, but I just think that it would have been better if they just stuck with ponies, or just like I don't know, made better songs, or didn't do as many songs. Just
Okay, there's a lot of songs.
made it less cringe.
A lot of talk about the songs, we have a minute 40. What about the designs?
That's the
in the 2010s, they tried, there were leaks for Generation 5 Equestria Girl dolls, but they were never released. We don't know why. But honestly, I cannot imagine Equestria Girls now. Because Equestria Girls was clearly a thing to compete with the very trendy
Monster
quote-unquote
High.
weird fashion doll market. You might be familiar with Monster High the most, but it wasn't just Monster High. There was Novi Stars. There was even Bratz. Even Bratz released Bratzillas, which were like they were them as witches, and there was Ever After High, which same company as Monster High. But, it was this very specific point in the doll industry. So the Equestria Girls, the fashions were bad, but because Hasbro has never been good at fashion dolls, but their base designs, them having the same color as the ponies, except slightly lighter for some reason, that's questionable. And their questionable proportions. It's all because of the year it came out. And honestly, I think you can see it as a positive and a negative. Negative if, because I personally don't find it very appealing. I mean, I like Equestria Girls a lot with how it turned out, but the designs, I was not a fan. But at the same time, it makes me so nostalgic for that era, for that specific era of fashion dolls as a doll fan. That's my take on it.
I'll just wrap this like really quick, like I'll take a few seconds. So outside of the design being really bad because there's a very low variety in body types and horrible calves and feet because they're supposed to look like doll boots. My main gripe with it isn't about the content at all, but it's because people use it as a way to basically have entire discussions and communities around random Anthro stuff instead of an actual like course in the show, and they tack it on EQG even though what they're making isn't EQG related at all.
Damn.
Oh.
Darn. Okay, you can be the final comment.
Yeah, okay.
You can.
I was just going to say that the Equestria Girls designs, some of them translate just intrinsically a lot better to human proportions than others. I really like Trixie's design, the humanized Trixie, and I absolutely loathe the Principal's design.
Oh my god.
What were they doing?
It's a low gravity planet. That's just how people grow up.
It barely looks like they have a face. Like they're just like, it looks like
It
a
looks like it's
mask.
a different show.
It's just wrong, especially with how gloriously majestic our princesses are. It's just wrong. But at least we have Trixie.
Downgraded the century of the princesses. Okay, our Janny here wants to make the final comment, I suppose.
I was like, I watched My Little Pony for ponies. I don't really like high school settings, so I think it's really weird to just put all the My Little Pony characters in a high school. And it's just like, I came here to watch ponies, okay? That's it.
Jack has a job at a farm. Why
That's
is he
weird.
not
It's also a normal show. It's weird they all get aged down.
Yeah, that's also
Okay, final. I will say I find Equestria Girls charming still. I think both sides made valid points. I still think Equestria Girls is charming. I don't know, to be fair, at least the first two movies. I'm still waiting on watching them more, but that one's the fourth one.
Without the movies, we wouldn't get our goat, Flash Sentry, the Chad of the
Okay. Next, this will be a little crazy. I'm gonna transition from one subject to the next subject. Okay.
he's here.
Starlight Glimmer. Was she a good character, or I should just say, Starlight Glimmer? Did you like her inclusion in the show, or should she just not been in the show at all? Like, okay, who has a strong negative opinion that wants to debate? You have a strong negative?
I have a strong opinion. I don't know if it like actually falls under it.
Do you have a strong negative opinion?
I have a strong positive opinion of the situation.
Who has a strong positive opinion again? I don't think you've debated before, or like on the mic. If you're neutral, I guess that's the closest we have to a negative.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm not.
I have a weird feeling.
I just thought it was a take candidate.
Okay, so who's gonna go
It's,
first?
and also, just to clarify, it's not like her initial appearance, her like whole appearance throughout the whole show, like her being redeemed and here being a part of the main cast. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that what you're cool debating on it? I know she was, when she first appeared, she was just like on a one-off villain, so I mean, that's a completely different thing. Okay. So any timer for 4 minutes,
Okay.
debate away.
So I, as a person, am someone who cannot really relate to a lot of characters. It's kind of rare for me to find characters that I can really deeply relate to. And Starlight Glimmer might just be the fictional character that I personally can relate to the most. There are so many themes and plot beats that come with Starlight Glimmer that are a big part of why the show is special to me, that if we didn't have Starlight Glimmer, we just wouldn't get that. So off the top of my head, Starlight Glimmer's trouble with feelings of abandonment with people she was close to in the past, and her attempting to reconnect with them and struggling with that because they don't necessarily share the same interests anymore. Starlight Glimmer starting a cult. Starlight Glimmer, I really admire her reckless pursuit of what she wants, regardless of what the consequences may be. That's an angle of a character that you simply would not get without Starlight Glimmer. There isn't really anything else that's really even close. And for someone like me, who has gone through similar things, it's very cathartic, I'll say.
I agree.
Okay. First agreement.
I'm gonna say this. I like Starlight Glimmer, but I don't like how she was implemented into the show at all. I think the way she just kind of lives with Twilight is weird. Like, she didn't just try to kind of kill you off. Like, she tried to ruin your timeline.
I do agree, she's tacked on. It
Yes,
goes very tacked on to the plot, like goes to the cast.
Yes, I think she was tacked on. She didn't really feel like she had stuff to do, but it felt like she didn't really need to do it. Like, I don't know how to.
Interjection, I will say, this is around the point where the show started to feel like fan fiction.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels like a whole nother show. Like, as it goes on, it has that kind of effect that sort of like, I don't know if just anime does this, but they'll keep tacking on more and more characters to the cast to the point where it's not even like recognizable as the show started out as. Which I don't think is a problem with her specifically, but definitely it's unfortunate for her that she was there later on instead of earlier on, where they could have maybe established her earlier on and it wouldn't have felt weird having this whole new character tacked onto the main six. So instead of main seven,
Yeah, but she wasn't actually part of the main seven. The main six would go on stuff without her. Like, she would just be at home doing whatever, and they'd just be off somewhere. I don't think they really liked her, honestly, because they would just leave her places and wouldn't like include her.
Okay, last minute, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, that's
Any final comments from the crowd, or do you wanna say what you're
Well, damn it, I had a thought just a second ago. Right, yeah, sorry. So the thing with Starlight Glimmer is she is a character who has a lot of potential, and that's obvious to any pony who can see her.
yeah, of course.
Twilight has a vested interest in bringing her in because she can see that there's a lot of potential good that Starlight Glimmer could do. That's why she makes an effort to extend that olive branch, because she doesn't want to just let it end off there as a tragedy. She wants to take this talented but troubled young unicorn and in a way kind of fulfill a similar role to what Celestia did for her. And I think that's actually an important part of Twilight's character towards the end, is it's kind of bookending things. Because Twilight's very much filling the role of a princess, and that seems to mean in MLB at least, to some extent also being a mentor, and of course we say later on with Monster Dawn.
But she wasn't really a mentor. Like she told her stuff to do, but a mentor would like maybe take her places, like not just leave her alone and do nothing. I know she did stuff. Okay, I'm not saying she did absolutely nothing.
That's pretty much what Celestia did.
But I'm gonna say this, Celestia. I think Celestia is a different story because Celestia is kind of just God, really, and she actually told Twilight to do stuff, and I know, but she wasn't living in Twilight wasn't living in Celestia's home. Like
She was before Pony fell.
no, she wasn't. She was living in her like village, her castle.
Quick final comments. I have two people holding their hands. You,
How hot and takes are we allowed here?
as hot as long as you're not saying too many swears. You're not saying no words. We're gonna hand the mic to them.
So, I think for why they leave her alone, or why they leave her behind is like, who's gonna take care of like the tree, or the school, and the castle, and you want to have like a good friend to take over like the fortress too.
But why can't you hire someone?
Because you don't trust him.
But she has other friends.
Maybe Starlight's under house arrest.
Yeah, that's
True.
true.
Well, why is she?
Iron has as much power as Starlight would.
Okay, imagine just some guy living in the White House. Like,
I mean, there was.
I know, but like, imagine just some guy with like no authority who like killed people, just living in the White House, getting therapy. Like,
Asking to kill people. It's also.
I
Did you
know
have?
she didn't kill
We
people.
didn't. I never had you say something. Can you? Somebody give Mrs. White assistant hand the mic to the person who's never spoken before. Place it on mic. That'll be the final comment. I don't want this. This is.
So I agree with a lady with pink hair. I agree with the fact that Twilight kind of took Starlight in and was like, look, another refined villain, amazing. But then she was like, maybe in feeling her part as a princess, but she was trying to control everything Starlight was doing, who she was friends with, what she was doing, or like whether she can hang out with her friends or not, and whenever Starlight is like trying to do something on her own, she's like, remember when you had a cult? Remember when you controlled people? Remember when she was pushing on her buttons? And I'm like, so did you forgive her or not? Like, it's like a
I do
half-assed
agree.
friendship.
Not a fan of those jokes. I think they're very like they're kind of a repeat of the Sunset Shimmer jokes where they're like, remember when you tried to go demon mode and take over the high school? I think it's like kind of like
No offense.
it's kind of like just like eye roll news. Like they think they're being really clever by like, look, we're lampshading that this guy did evil things. I think it's kind of lame. I kind of don't like that. But
Yeah, and I was going to say that, like, after rewatching the show, I see how main six are really not very good friends to each other sometimes. But with Starlight, Twilight is like had put all the stops out, like pulling her her past over her every time she needs it. And then when she does something that she thinks would fix, or like would solve the issue, I was like, why didn't you ask me first? I'm like, because you want her to be herself. You sent her out on that quest on her own because you trust her to do something that she believes is right. And then when she does it, you like angry with her, and that's kind of lame as a friend, I think.
okay, I'll speed run judgment. I think she's a good idea, kind of iffy execution, and I'm not a huge fan of the writing style of the later seasons. So I'm gonna lean towards I don't really like Starlight Glimmer as much, but I do think she's a good idea. Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment that
Okay.
if you're 50s, listen up. Even though you're a communist, there's still hope for you.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. G4 series finale. Who really who's in Ling debate liked it, and who liked it and is willing to debate.
Quick question, clarification. When you say season...
That's our series finale.
Series finale.
Series finale.
Do you mean like the two-parter like villain fight, or do you mean
I'll just
the last
I'll lump those 3 years together, like the whole like. I'll just lump them together. Lump them together. Just say it's a 3-part technically, because I know it's basically an extended epilogue at the end of the day.
Any massive haters in the audience?
Who's a massive hater of the finale? Is there anybody who's like pro finale? Ooh, okay. You haven't debated yet. And who won? Who is the hater? Who's the haters? You. Okay. Jenny. That person can have a mic. I don't know if like there's a panel after this one, because we're gonna wait. Because I have like a way more other things to talk about, but.
We have a lot of things we can talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, afterwards we like a meetup with
Okay. Debate away. I'm gonna set a timer for 4 minutes.
Alright. I think the series finale of Friendship is Magic is garbage. This is a show that I literally grew up with. It started when I was 6 and it ended when I was 14. Math is hard. 15. Math is hard. And I still love it to this day, obviously. That's why I'm here. But the series finale made me feel nothing. The only thing that made me feel a little bit was the last song. I do really like the song, but it is ruined by the visuals. The visuals of the terrible time skip designs. Celestia shaped Twilight. Terrible. I'm sorry. The random ship confirmations, like shipping is fun in the fandom. But the show is not about that. Like, why are we suddenly implying that Rainbow Dash and Applejack are a couple? Like, I'm not trying to be anti-Applejack or anything. I'm all for LGBT representation and all that. But this was not it. The final shot of the show, great idea with the book closing. But the final shot are these terrible time skip designs with this terrible Spike. Oh my god. Chad Spike. Okay, I know I'm just talking about the designs here, but the designs really impacted a lot of the enjoyment I could have gotten out of the last episode, because not only did I think a time skip was unnecessary for this kind of show, this isn't a big, yes, there's obviously story elements, but this isn't a big story-driven show, and it's like, look how far they came. What are you talking about? This is a nice slice of life show with where they go on the occasional epic adventure, but they're always so vague about time passing in the actual show that it comes so out of nowhere that suddenly in the last episode we're in such a long time skip that one of our main characters has a child now. And with Weird Al,
no room do I ask you to talk about this.
Which is a character that has only shown up in 2 other episodes.
Weird Al knows about it.
It's like.
Okay. I know you're passionate, but I should have let the other person.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I am talking. Okay, your turn.
No, this is literally a lot for you to learn. And I mean that sincerely. Okay. Speaking personally, I was in literal tears after the finale, and looking back, I can absolutely acknowledge that it had a number of flaws. But I do feel that it is a deeply satisfying culmination to Twilight's arc. The cycle continues. She has been able to create a golden age that eclipses Celestia's in scope, both in terms of both in terms of the splinter on display and the creatures on display, because we look at Equestria and it was in a diplomatic dark age that she basically did kicking and screaming into a new one. And yes, the designs are questionable, to say the least. Personally, I actually find Spike to be almost endearing as a nod to the little fantasy sequence in Dog and Pony Show. But it's just a sense of, yes, they are going to be all right. They are going to be all right. This is, however many years in the future, things will turn out well. Please ignore the fire alicorn approaching on the horizon. Thank you.
Okay, we're running. You can say your quick piece.
I think you make a great point that actually made me think. The finale is definitely a finale to the last couple seasons of the show. So, and if you like the last couple seasons of the show, I'm sure it's a lot more satisfying. I guess for me, I really had issues with the whole direction of the show. A line in the last episode that really gets to me is during the song, when Rarity says something about the friendships we won, which always seems a little weird to me, because to me the show is about the bond between these six ponies and Spike, I love Spike, and their deep bonds with each other. But then in the later seasons, it almost felt like a friend collectathon, which.
Interjection, it is weird as the show goes on, they treat friendship like a freaking religion. It's weird how they use friendship. I'm just gonna solve a friendship problem. We need to treat her about friendship. Instead of being incidental theming, it becomes a weird, creepy, like cultish concept of friends. Friendship. I shouldn't say friendship every 30 seconds. It's weird.
Yeah, I agree, and it starts to feel really disconnected from real life friendships, which was like part of the show's soul. And then the last episode, especially with the last episode, it doesn't. With the very last episode, which is supposed to be the culmination of the show, and even has the book closing, which is like the beginning of the show, it doesn't. It's just not the same show. It's not about. It doesn't feel like the bond between these six and how far they came.
Feels a little artificial.
It feels artificial, and with all these people, all these symbols we've collected, it doesn't feel genuine, and it just kind of makes me sad about the direction the show went in the end.
Okay, quick. I'm sorry, we're like running low on time. Sorry.
I support the ending because if it kept going on, we probably would have gotten an even worse ending.
Yes.
Like, have you seen what's happened to like The Simpsons? It's just gone all like lost its original.
Well, it's more so about the ending itself, not the fact that it ended.
Me?
Yeah.
Episodes of My Little Pony are metaphors for problems that we face in our lives. This is an episode that would have happened 9 years after the beginning, whenever people who watched it were growing up. This is an episode about friends finding that their careers force them to move away. This is a metaphor for the experience of growing up with your friends your whole life and then finding that you have to move away for college and you're away from the people that you were trying to live with your whole life. Whenever I saw this episode, I was living completely alone in a city where half the people didn't speak my language, where I had no friends, where I was away from everyone that I developed relationships my whole life. This one really spoke to me in a way that few episodes ever have, because the moral that it was about, which is about how do you stay in touch with your friends whenever economics, life, reality, growing up, moving on requires you to move away. So as an episode on its own, never mind it being a finale, it is something special, something new.
I love that so much. I'm so glad, genuinely, so glad I was able to speak to people. There's actually, just real quick, the finale finale of Steven Universe Future, which is a very similar plot, spoke to me in that same way. I think my main thing with the finale is it was hard for me to focus on that honestly beautiful plot because of
More so
the
the
framing of
execution.
it. Because of the framing of it, they'll say. The execution was showing the time skip.
Okay, last comment on the finale.
I love my ponies as a bastion of innocence and youthfulness. The last thing that I ever wanted from the finale was a flash forward where they're kind of all old and past their, like, peak at this point. I don't think I needed that. I would have passed on that.
Also, one more thing, it did canonize Sunset Shimmer. There was no argument there.
Yeah.
Well, I had other topics planned, but just break.
The next event's not until 9:15, so.
I'll ask the step. Is it okay?
You can run a couple minutes long, but like we do need to have to. We will need a changeover a little bit before them, so like give yourself 10 minutes.
Okay. I will. Well, the final question, since we're talking about G4 finale, G5. Who has a strong negative opinion on G5 and is willing to debate? Who has a strong positive opinion on G5 and is willing to debate? I'll do, since you bookend, since you started, and who is the negative? I don't think I've seen you debate, so.
Thank you. And just before we start, can I just ask, is it okay if I record this?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's try to keep it a little bit quick, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because we're on a bill, we will go over time.
We're on time right now.
Yeah.
Okay, debate away.
Okay. I'll just come right out and say it. G5 sucked. I'll say this. I'll give credit to the voice actors, all of them, especially Opaline and Zip. Phenomenal. They wasted their talents. G5, I know this hot take, this topic is why I showed up. Make Your Mark did not have a single good episode. Every single episode was terrible. The show itself, and I do not blame the writers, I blame Hasbro. I think Hasbro put them on such an unfair time crunch that they could not, in any way, have made the show work. Nothing was thought through at all. I mean, the fact they bring in the fact they tried to tack it onto G4 to begin with was recipe for disaster, especially with how the show was presented in commercials and lead-ups. Just right off the bat, the fact that there is an Alicorn who admits she knew Luna and Celestia as fillies. So why didn't Luna or Celestia ever mention her to Twilight or her friends? And now all of a sudden we have Skyros, which was not in G4. I'm sorry, you cannot all of a sudden in a sequel series say, by the way, this thing has always been here, especially in the previous show. That's just shoehorning in something to make for your show. Just the very idea that Twilight Sparkle, they Jake Skywalkered her from The Last Jedi, absolutely. Twilight Sparkle would never abandon her duties, would never abandon her friends or her family, and take away their only means of self-defense by taking away magic, and then push it off to someone else, which is what she did. There were just too many avenues for how they could have defeated Opaline without the G5 cast. And with every single episode, it seemed like they were inventing something new, even in their own lore. And I do recall in the finale, when they're fighting Opaline, all of a sudden Zip pulls out this picture. Oh, I've seen this mural of the tree from Bridalwood or Zephyr Heights. See, they're all happy under it. It's like, you retconned that scene. That's not what happened in that scene. They even changed the ceiling of the library, and I know this. In the Masquerade episode, the ceiling of the secret section of the library she was in was a glass dome, and you could see that it was because the stars would move in shots from underneath. Yet in this episode, all of a sudden the ceiling is all marble and has a mural on it. They had to retcon it in order to give Zip a piece of evidence she never had. This is why I say they invent new things in each episode, because the show was just not thought out at all.
All right.
I personally
Sorry.
agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do think it's a lot worse than G4. However, I really truly think nothing they could have done could have made everyone happy. And I know that's like just a cop out kind of, but if they made another generation, everyone would freak out. Like, people online already freak out about anything changing, especially like G4 fans especially will freak out. They freaked out about G3. They freaked out about G5 even being in existence because they wanted more G4. I think they really couldn't have made everybody happy. And I think what they did was very interesting. Like, the concept of, they don't have their magic. And I'm gonna say this. I think Sunny deserved to be an alicorn. I know that's a hot take, but she did end segregation.
She did end pony racism.
She didn't end pony racism, but she ended segregation. And I do think it's just not a permanent alicorn. It's not really not, but I think she deserves it. I do think a lot of the story is, not as good as G4. I think that I have a lot of opinions on it. It's just hard to say it.
I know how you feel.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad show. I think it could have been a lot better. I think I keep going on and on. I think they did the team themselves did the best they could with what they were given, because I think they're just connected to Equestria somehow. But if you made it like 10 years in the future, just continued immediately after G4, people would get upset, like always, but it would also like make you run into, like, they already kind of did it with G5, but if you run into corners or dead ends, you can't really like explain, because I don't know.
So you're absolutely right. People would complain no matter what. Trust me, I watch NASCAR. People do complain no matter what. But I think, and as someone who loved G4, and I know this is just me, but I didn't want more. I would have definitely preferred a clean slate. And the fact that Hasbro had G5 immediately connect to G4 was just a horrible decision, because now they had 9 seasons of homework they had to do to adhere to. They had rules they had to adhere to. And again, the unfair time crunch Hasbro put on the writers, and I do agree, I think the writers did try to make a good show. I am not shaming them. The problem is, with the time crunch they were on, and the fact they were coupled with another show, was just a recipe for disaster. There's no way they absolutely could have, I don't think they could have made a good show with the setting they were given. I really think I would have preferred a new show, and if it wasn't good, it would have been easier to accept. And I don't, and just one more thing, I promise. I don't like, or here's how do I put this? I don't hate G5 because it's not more G4. I hate G5 because it reeks of corporate meddling, of telling the writers, this is what you're going to do, this is where it has to be, write it like that. They didn't give the writers enough creative freedom to actually try to make a good show.
Okay, interjection. I was going to say real quick, the whole Miyamoto quote, a rushed product is rushed forever. A delayed product is good later. You kind of can't really, if you're just going to view it as its own entity and not, you kind of can't like be just like, oh well, but all these circumstances behind it and all that. When you watch it, in my opinion, it's not fun to watch, and the characters aren't fun to watch. And it's like kind of like I can't like get it out of mind. If I'm watching the show and it's just like not very fun to watch for me, and if the characters are weak, if the writing is weak, you kind of can't use the excuse, well, what all these factors in the background. Well, at the end of the day, the product is what it is, and if it's a low quality product and I can't get into it, it's kind of the show's. At the end of the day, that's what the show is, and I'm just gonna like I accept defeat. I don't like it, and I move on. I can't really be just sitting here like, well, if I look at which writers and what they wanted to say behind, if I look at what the writers try to justify it by being like, well, but we were on a time crunch and this and that. Well, it's unfortunate for them, but as a viewer,
I was gonna say, if you need another 10 minutes, that's fine. But I do need to open the doors just in case people
That's
expect
fine.
people to get through here.
That's fine.
But yeah.
We'll wrap up.
We got till 9:15 with the next one. We need about 10 minutes to set up their video probably. So
that's fine.
Try
We
to
can
wrap
wrap
up
up in 10 minutes.
10,
Okay.
15 minutes will be fine. Yeah. Just leave that to go.
I lost my train of thought. Anyways, the product is what it is, and it sucks that they weren't able to do what they probably wanted to do, and there's so much corporate meddling. At the end of the day, that's not my problem. That's the show is what it is, and if it's unpleasant to watch or just boring to watch, it's just a bad show. In my honest opinion, I think the first movie was fine. Everything after the movie, I think, stinks. That's my honest opinion.
I was mostly prepared to fight on the movie's behalf, not the show.
Yeah.
The movie.
Okay, well.
Sorry, can I just say?
Yeah, you can say
Okay,
it.
the movie when it first came out, liked it. When I went back to rewatch it with my friends, when we have a YouTube channel where we went through the whole series. It does not hold up very well. The jokes are fantastic. The rest of it, no.
Okay. Everybody, real quick, like one or two sentences. Okay. You first. Or okay, I guess. Sorry, that person with the mic first. So we'll get to that. We'll have to go off that. Okay.
I can throw it because it had potential and I want to see more. That's pretty much potential.
Potential can only go so far, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, yeah. It's my turn.
Oh, you can go.
So the Phillies have iPhones and Pip has Reddit.
There is an episode where there's the conflict is, dude, I get shadow banned, and that never ceases to like, how is this in My Little Pony?
I honestly, like, first time I heard about G5, I was quite upset that G5 is what it is. But then I watched the movie and I, like, loved it because I loved Izzy, like, she was the best character ever. And then when Hasbro was like, oh, we're gonna make a show. We're gonna make 2 shows. We're gonna make 3 shows. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I tried to watch it and I'm like, oh, it's not the same voice actors.
Yeah, that's a point nobody really brought up in the other debates. It is very confusing having like a movie, then you have a show, then you have a weird shorts thing online. It's very bad marketing.
And just like in general, like I believed Hasbro when they said, hey, all those names are gonna be those voices, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I hear Izzy and that's the same voice actor, and I feel like apart from the plot issues and 9 seasons of homework, like I agree with that. They shot themselves in the leg by advertising it as what it was and giving us what they gave us, which was kind of much lower quality, made for who knows who, honestly, because they sold it to G4 people by claiming it's G4 related, and then they did whatever they wanted to do with however much money left over from the movie made.
Okay, the two last comments, and then we have to seriously wrap it up.
Okay, so just an addendum. I know I said earlier that the voice actors for the show did a great job. I'll include Hitch's VA in there, but his Make Your Mark, Tell Your Tale voice did not fit his character. The movie voice was so much better. And also they ruined Hitch's character in the show, all in there. They ruined Hitch's character in the show. They turned him into a pansy. And, okay, I want to say, men can be caregivers. I'm not dissing that. My problem is they betrayed his core character. He was not brave. He was not suave. He was a coward. They made him act like Sprout in several episodes. I don't like what they did with him in the show.
I don't like that. She's not stupid.
Okay, no pressure, but you're the final comment.
It helped a little bit too much glitter.
the most poorly executed most poorly executed toy line when it comes to the potential it had that I have ever seen. I know that My Little Pony, Hasbro has even said this, My Little Pony actually has more of a media focus now than it has a toy focus, which is interesting, which is fine. But the toy line, oh my gosh, there's so much potential with the specifically three different locations, each themed after different kinds of ponies. They do not use that. They did the same thing that G4 did for like half of its run, just re-releasing the same made ponies over and over again with the joints are, I actually think the joints are fine. Misty, I love her curly textured hair, but her cornrows are like molded on, kind of ugly. Like they didn't even bother to try it there are dolls with synthetic hair, cornrows, and box braids. They didn't bother. Just as an avid My Little Pony toy collector, oof.
Well, I think pretty much I think most people, like, I'm in agreement with most people. I think G5 sucks. I do think there's elements that have potential. The final product, kind of stinky.
No bueno.
Okay. Since we're running low, since we're done, we're officially done now. Everybody, thank you for epically debating. I actually thought this came out pretty good panel. I was afraid nobody was going to show up or nobody had any strong opinions, and I was sitting here like pooping myself like, oh, what do I do now? So I hope everyone I hope we can all shake hands at the end of this, agree to disagree.
No fights.
No fist fights.
We're only friends here.
And have a good rest of your con.
And there'll be another